Did you get any of my intro? Do you want my computer?
No, just start over.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Here we are with Off the Wall Graffiti, immersed in art. Okay, this is Immersed in Art, Off the Wall Graffiti, and this is a special edition podcast. We are here with Edgar Jimenez. He is a senior at Boyle Heights High School. Full disclosure, he has, as part of his graduation requirements, he has to do a podcast, and we said yes. The topic is COVID-19 and also the protests and his take on those through a couple of his different classes. I believe there's math involved. And so we are here as a audience to listen to what he has to say. I'll be in conversation, and we have a couple of people in the room, and we will just be of service to you. Edgar, take the floor. What do you think about this crazy isolation we've been in?
For starters, the whole quarantine thing really kind of took a toll on like my life. It went from literally going to school every single day, every morning, and getting up at like 6 a.m, and now it's like getting up at like 9 or 10 and not knowing what to do in literally my room. So it's kind of tough being the way it is right now with like just quarantine itself. Yeah. I want to start
so your
off
routine, like your whole like life routine, shifted.
Yeah, it shifted completely because, I mean, at first I was like, this isn't going to really happen. I mean, it's going to be just like Ebola and it's going to like, fade away somehow and like we're going to be back to normal. But I mean, look at us now. I mean, we're literally, every single time that you go out, you see people in masks and like, it's kind of weird, but I mean, that's kind of like our new normal right now.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, for right now, I feel like quarantine has been boring. It has taken, I feel like my freedom in some way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, knowing what I've been researching, I feel like what's happening as of like Corona and like, let's put in the protesting right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been out and about and like have actually created, I think, more than 14% of an increase in cases in the last 24 hours, and which is crazy.
Where are you getting that?
News sources, ABC, Twitter, not like.
You're just talking about Twitter, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of information when it comes to like coronavirus like updates. I get them from a app called Citizens app, and they give me like when it comes to like coronavirus updates, they give me the daily like new cases of coronavirus and the daily like deaths tolls of like coronaviruses. So it's like I am on top of it. But ever since this protest started, it kind of like shifted from looking into coronavirus updates to now what protests are happening in LA, what protests are happening in different cities, states and stuff.
Right.
And it's crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, for me right now, it's shifting from having to talk about Corona and figuring out how I can live a life in Corona, I guess, in this whole pandemic, to now looking at it as in, can I go outside without either getting robbed? Because I live in South LA, so it's really like tough living out here and like being okay with what's happening because, I mean, let's talk about the Rodney King riots. Those were crazy like days back then. And
Right.
thinking about it now, it's like those kind of protests are coming back into 2020, and it's, you know, unsafe for me, and I kind of feel like in a way that I need to literally stay at home 24/7 now.
That's how it occurs for you
Yeah,
right now. Mm-hmm.
right now. I mean, on top of having to know that a lot of people are contracting corona, to now having to worry about protesters and looters and all these other like people vandalizing local businesses. Um, and yeah, I mean, I have literally a liquor store like down the block that got vandalized like a couple of days ago.
Right.
Um, and then on the side of the coronavirus, my mom, she always used to get like different I guess groceries from market, like literally on the opposite side of my neighborhood. And she had told me, I think it was like about 2 weeks ago, that one of the people that worked there, like the clerks, had passed away from corona. And it's like
Oh,
it's crazy because it really didn't hit me until when my mom told me that, you know, one of the employees there literally died from corona. And it's crazy to see
right.
like live actually.
Like it's one thing to read about it and on Twitter and see things, but to have it be close to home and to have like the liquor store be close to home and all of this. And do you think that being inside your bubble and taking in all this information um, is contributing to some of that like isolationness also, you know, or like that fear? Like there are people who are going out doing protests and some people out, you know, walking and everything. And what's the level of fear that you have now versus percentage wise before? Like, were you at 0% fear before COVID? And
I would say, okay, when this whole thing started, it didn't really hit me. We were like a
you mean
week,
the
yeah,
coronavirus?
coronavirus.
Uh,
I was in 1 week into, you know, the quarantine thing in my room, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, do I
right.
stay here? What do I do? I don't have
Was
anything
your
to do with
school in
that.
touch with you? Was Boyle Heights in touch and trying to get you to?
Yeah, they were in touch with me. I was doing everything I had to do with like getting my credits and stuff. But the thing was, it was kind of weird because I was never in that situation. Like, it's literally my first time ever being in a pandemic, and I feel like for right now, like a lot of people are like saying like this is going to be on the books, like in history. It's gonna go down in history, and it's crazy.
Right.
But my percentage when it came to my fear and my rating, the beginning probably was like say 10%, and like my
Like
rating was,
normal everyday fear of
yeah,
living
no,
in South
everything, like
Central.
it literally didn't hit me. But as of recently, with the protests, with literally the news of my mom telling me that one of like the store clerks literally died from corona, I feel like my fear is like at an all-time high. Like I don't want to get near to that, you know, market or like liquor store and stuff. I don't want to, you know, go out as much. It's just literally from home to my girlfriend's house, and like, you know, us just, you know, being together and stuff. But I mean, compared to the beginning, I felt like the beginning wasn't okay. Like I thought, you know, this is gonna blow over sooner or later. It's not gonna be that serious. But now that I think about it, it's like it's hitting me, and it's like, you know, if we don't buckle up and sit down and kind of reflect on what we're doing, we won't ever get to have our normal lives again. And this literally connects back to the protest. A lot of like the interviews that I've seen on online and stuff, um they have people like doing interviews with like liquor stores, local businesses, companies. And it's crazy because there was this one interview that I saw that a guy had to lay off like, I would say, 4 people because of the pandemic. And as of right now, this literally recently happened like a couple days back, and he had said that on top of him literally losing money from like the coronavirus and everything, it kind of took a toll on him. The protest I'm talking about, the protest
Like
took a toll
he
on
was he was dealing with the coronavirus
Corona,
kind of
and then
right.
yeah, and then just the looting just like kind of like hit him like in the core, and it's like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, how am I supposed to get my stuff back? How am I supposed to like profit from this? And it's like, a lot of people are dealing with this,
Yeah.
and it's not until you yourself get to experience it, and that's when like you kind of get a reality check of what's really happening. And I feel like I got that the first time that my mom told me that the store clerk had passed away from corona. And now the protests are like, it hit me I think 2 days ago, where like I was going down I think Figueroa, and I was going down Staples Center, and literally there was National Guards just guarding the streets. And it's crazy because it's like, I've never seen that in my life.
Right.
I can tell you that I've
None of
never
us
seen
have.
that. Yeah, so I don't know what to say. I'm just speechless when it comes to seeing that in my city.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future, whether that be short term, 2 weeks from now, or long term, maybe next year of school, or just in general life? How do you see that going?
For people in general, or for me?
For you, as well as any thoughts on the future?
I would say if people don't get a reality check, if people don't sit down and reflect on what they're doing right now. I'm talking about the protesters and people in general. Like, even Hispanics really don't care about what's happening, like, until they, go through the same pain that people are going through, where like they're losing, I guess, family members from corona, and it's like, that's when like I feel like they're gonna understand, like, okay, this is a serious problem and we need to sit down and reflect on figuring out what we can do to better our lifestyles and stuff. And I feel like that is gonna go a long way if and when I feel like the people that are not obeying the law, not doing the social distancing, they kind of need to have a reality check. And I feel like for the future, for those people, I feel like if they do change, it's gonna become a better situation for them. But for those that don't, I feel like it's gonna become worse. Things are gonna happen, and it's gonna become a worse scenario for them. But for me, I guess my future, I'm already set. I'm gonna finish high school. My plans are to after this corona thing is over and we find a vaccine, I am going to get a job, do halftime, like I do like morning shifts, and then college in the afternoon and stuff. That's my plan for the future for me. For others, I feel like I can't speak upon them and speak for them, because I feel like it's what they do is what they're gonna get.
I have a question about them.
Mm-hmm.
So the them that we're talking about that needs to get the reality check, right? That them and who you were before you got your reality check. Are you guys similar and now you're different because you had the reality check? Or were you different all along?
I would say when I got the reality check is when I changed.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what I'm thinking about for the people who haven't had the reality check yet, what gave you the reality check was somebody died.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably scary.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing is that you're scared for the people who are going to be getting an inevitable reality check because they're not paying attention.
Yeah, they're not taking it serious.
Right. And does it feel like a whole lot of people are going to be freaking out because of it, like you did? Or like, what do you really, like, what are you afraid of for them?
For them, I wouldn't. I don't know how to put this, because if you think about it, Corona isn't like gonna like warn you about, okay, I'm coming for you. You know, it's just an out of nowhere situation. It's like it's gonna hit you, and you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what you're gonna do, and I feel like for them, it's gonna be like, okay, what am I supposed to do now with my life? And their emotions are literally going on an all-time high. Freaking financial like situations are like either going up or going down with them, and it's like, you know, problems are becoming relevant to their life, and it's like a whole bunch of stress is gonna be coming to their life too, and it's like that's when I feel like they're gonna know, and they're gonna feel like, okay, this is real, I need to buckle down and I need to take this serious.
Do you think there's a timeline for how long it'll take them
To
wise up?
Okay, I would say,
Like, is that part of your anxiety about it for them? Like, if you don't do it now, it's going to spread and it might get you, or like, I'm curious. I wonder.
For me personally, that's why I don't hang out with friends. That's why I didn't cut them off. I just stopped talking to them and talking about like, oh, let's go hang out, this and that, you know, because I don't know where they've been. I don't know with who they've fallen in, you know, contact with. So the only real person that I really do just talk to is my girlfriend. Like, I just go to her and like we either hang out. She helps me with homework. She helps me with like, she was gonna help me with this podcast, and you know, for me, I don't think personally any of that's gonna affect me unless I actually start to hang out with other people. But I feel like as of right now, it's gonna just affect them. They're gonna have that reality check. It's gonna be on them, and it's not really gonna affect me, you know.
Does that I wonder about what it feels like to have friends who aren't paying attention. You're paying attention. Your life is moving forward. Is there any kind of like almost certain feeling that you're gonna like pass them?
Pass them in the sense of,
or like that they're gonna end up not being your friends after this, or like, is there anything?
Oh, actually, it did actually happen. I had a best friend. Well, I would say she was my ex-best friend, but I had a best friend during the time that we were in school, and during the time that we got out of school, like I would say 2 months passed, and we would text here and there. But ever since she decided to, I guess go MIA, and like decide to like distance herself from people, we stopped talking. We don't talk at all, and it's like I thought she was gonna be like the person I would go to like kind of get that information, or like to be like, okay, like, you know, once this whole thing is over, we can hang out or something, or like, you know, I had full contact with her when it came to being in school, but when it came to this Corona thing and self-quarantine and all this, she ghosted me, you know? And
I wonder if
like,
she's going through her own anxiety about it.
I mean, I talk to her here and there, but she just talks about how she's just stuck at home. So I feel like she's in the same situation that I am in. So, I mean, yeah, there's been situations where like people have gained anxiety and depression just being at home and having to be self-quarantined. And, you know, good thing I'm not that. I used to be that in middle school, and it was just a whole mess. But as of right now, I feel like, you know, if anybody or any of my friends decide to leave, I don't mind it. You know, life's life. You know, it's hard sometimes.
So being a kid who's already figured out how to cope through or look at your life in a way that sort of releases a level of depression or whatever you just said you had in middle school and stuff, what because it's a podcast and all kinds of people are listening, probably that are going through different phases of wellness and all of that. Do you have anything that you learned that you want to share, like or talking to your your middle school self, in case there's younger people listening? Or
I would say a lot of kids, as of say 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, they think that they don't have anybody in their life, or nobody's gonna really care about what they're going through. But my mindset before was exactly like how their mindset is, until high school is where like I decided, okay, I need to kind of ask for help. And I asked for help, then I got therapy. And I at first I didn't think, okay, therapy, like I don't think therapy is gonna really help. I mean, I'm talking to somebody, I can just talk to myself and that'll be fine. But therapy it's one way to cope with depression. I feel like
who'd you ask for that from?
with I actually asked one of my counselors, my academic counselors, because I was at school. I was doing bad at school, in school, and I just decided, okay, maybe the reason why I'm doing bad in school is because I was gaining anxiety and depression just being in school, because a whole bunch of things were stacking up on me, and I didn't know what to do with my life. I was having personal problems and like family problems and stuff, and I didn't know what to do with my life. But once I had that opportunity to have somebody to talk to and to have a therapist, I feel like that kind of changed my life. So I kind of give an advice of like, if you have an opportunity to get help, get it. Don't wait for the last minute, or wait until you feel like you're gonna kill yourself to ask for help. Do it now, and it'll go a long way. During middle school and half of high school, I thought that I was gonna end my life for a bit, but honestly, once I got therapy and once I started to gain, I guess, confidence in myself, that's when like I decided, okay, it's worth it to try again. So I feel like
And
that sense is,
did you get tools to kind of keep reminding you of that, or do you just go back to therapy? How do you keep that muscle?
So for therapy, my therapist had asked me, what is one main thing, or who's the one main person that can actually help you, or one thing that you can do, like meditation, for example, that helps people to kind of calm down and kind of come to sense with things. My kind of coping mechanism was music. That was one of my main things that I was like, okay, like that's gonna be one of the main things that I can do to stop thinking, or to stop overthinking of situations. I decided to start listening to music. I started to listen to this one artist that he passed away 2 years ago, and I felt like it was the end of the world for me when I heard that he passed away. So, I mean, for me, that one artist was the world to me, I can say. I mean, a lot of people probably hate him, but for me, emotionally, and the way that he kind of, saw life, it helped me kind of see life in a different light. So I kind of thank that artist for giving me kind of like a second perspective in life. And for that, I'm actually gonna on the 17th of this month, I'm actually gonna get a tattoo dedicated to him. So
Who is it?
Huh?
Who is it?
I don't know if you know his name, but his name's XXX Tentacion. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm gonna get a tattoo dedicated to him on the 17th, because the 18th is actually his 2-year anniversary
Of his death.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get that. And
Wonderful.
yeah.
So you go to music to deep breathe and to get out of your head and to center again.
Yeah.
And to like get back into that it's good to be here.
Yeah, actually. And
Yeah.
I would say, to get back into the topic of like COVID-19, I feel like when it comes to people that are locked up, I wouldn't say like locked up in the sense of like prison and stuff, but like self-isolation, I feel like they should go to what makes them more happy. I mean, there's people that love playing video games. There's people that love like listening to music. You know, there's a lot of things that people can do at home that can help them cope with what they're going through. I mean, not all people are going to be happy. Not all people are going to feel like, oh, it's all sunshines and butterflies and stuff. So there's always one thing that can help people. And I feel like, my one thing that helped me was music.
Yeah.
And, for the people, I mean, COVID-19, yeah, it's a virus and stuff, but I mean, there's been situations where like people have killed themselves more because of suicide, because of depression and stuff, and I feel
As
like
a killer.
yeah,
Right.
it's a killer.
Right.
It's more of a virus than Corona itself, you
Right.
know. So I
So
just bring that to light.
I'm going to ask 2 questions in closing. Because there was something about math that you needed to talk about, is there anything you want to add, or have you kind of exhausted that topic?
No, I mean, I kind of said it in the beginning of this podcast, that 14%, I think 14 or 4%, of Corona cases have increased within the 24 hours. And a lot of people, a lot of like news reporters are saying the reason why is because of the state by state protests that are happening. That a lot of people are, trying to go on protest, go on strike and stuff like that for, George Floyd or whatever. And they're not thinking about, okay, like, I'm in a protest, I'm with thousands of people who here has, COVID-19. Like, they don't really think about that. That's why I want to be out there. Like, believe me, I do want to be out there. I want to be protesting. I want to, have my voice heard. But at the same time, I'm really scared of, like, coronavirus. Like, it might not seem such a big deal to some people, but honestly, to me, I'd rather be living than having to risk my life over there and, have contracted something and then die.
Especially when you've chosen to live like that's a big deal. Yeah. Destiny, do you have anything to say about those statistics or anything that shed any different light?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen any statistics yet, so that's a new thing to hear, actually. I have been going to protests. I'll be going to my 3rd protest tomorrow. And I heavily considered the risk of coronavirus because Mora's son and I have been locked up or isolated for, like, I have only seen him for like 3 months. But
sorry.
Yeah, and he has asthma, so he's a risk, but yeah, I don't know. It is scary, but I'm willing to put my able-bodied self at risk, because I'm not seeing anyone else. But if I were seeing people, if I was living with a large family, it's not their decision. Like, it's not my decision alone. So, I think because I am not affecting so many people, it's easier for me to make that decision. But, yeah, definitely, it is a hard choice between this cause and this danger,
I have one thought, and it's sort of up there, because people have already talked about, like, even preemptively, that people are going to say, oh, the virus spiked because of the protests. And then someone reminded me a little bit that it takes 14 days apparently for it to actually show up if you have it. And we haven't had 14 days yet. So maybe those numbers are coming in a little skewed or a little, intentionally being said. Who knows? We don't know. And that's the silly thing out there. We do know that Corona is real. We do know that it kills people. We do know that it's spreading and all that kind of stuff. And on top of that,
I mean,
it takes a while for it to actually get on you.
Yeah. I actually have an input on that, because the same way that you say that, you know and you feel like Corona is real, a lot of like the family members that I have, like they've had situations in where like their aunts have had like asthma, like, and it's kind of hard to like say, okay, like distinguish from the asthma problems to what Corona is. A lot of people, and not excluding my family, a lot of people are always saying like, I go to hospitals and all they're saying is that, if you have Corona, like, you don't need to be here and you're going to contract a lot of people and this and that, right? But then again, when somebody gets sick and somebody goes to the hospital because they know their condition or they know what they're sick of,
and they can't breathe.
If they can't breathe, a lot of like hospitals are gonna be like, oh, he has Corona, and it's like, it's not true until you get a test, and if it comes positive, then that's Corona. If not, then don't say it and don't put it on the books. Like I feel like a lot of cases aren't real, but then again, I don't know the true story or the true like behind the scenes of coronavirus. So I don't know where like a lot of these cases are coming from, because that's one of the main things that I'm always like kind of like thinking about, like where is this coming from? Where is the number of cases coming from? Who is putting these numbers out there, And it's like, is this really real? Is this just a hoax? Like, I just don't know sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, so
okay.
I mean,
yeah, and I think it will come down. Sometimes someone asks me like, how's LA gonna stop doing this aside from someone telling us we can now go out? And I said that I feel like people are just gonna start following their own instinct or their own cautionary tale about, I left the house one time or something like that. So, it'll be probably a combination of that. While we're still in the thick of it, you'll make some educated decisions and talk to people who you trust, I guess.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to get top line before we go and say, what during the virus time, your quarantine time, are you most proud of yourself for doing?
I'm going to start.
That good, because that was to you.
I mean, the most thing I would say I'm like really, really proud of is keeping tunnel vision on doing my work. I wouldn't really have thought, okay, like, at first I was like, online classes, I don't know about that, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be focused on it, because I was like really into like video games and like getting to wanting to be a photographer. Like I would always go out and like take pictures and like post them on Instagram and stuff like that, and I wouldn't really like put myself in where like, okay, I need to do my homework now, but
okay.
Now with this whole pandemic and like me being quarantined, I feel like it's where like I need to do it. There's no other option. And I feel really proud of that, because I've had tunnel vision this whole time. When my own principal put me in two classes, I finished my first one, and this art class is gonna be my last one. So
and what have you, and you're proud of that like you actually did the work? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm proud of just me in general being able to do this and like actually going through with it. Because me myself, I wouldn't have really thought of going.
You wouldn't have banked on yourself.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it mimics, it just mimics hard work.
Mm-hmm. I feel like myself before wouldn't do that and wouldn't have thought of doing online classes, but I'm kind of considering if I won't be able to do college full time because sometimes personal problems happen and you need to like kind of
support
support personal financing and like helping my mom out and getting her out of
that's what I meant, like supporting that other tug tug.
Yeah, so it's like I'm kind of considering of if I can't do real college, then I can do online classes. I mean, I've been doing this for say 3-4 months and I'm into it.
You're doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it. And
we're zooming at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would have never thought to be zooming with somebody at 1 a.m.
to get credit, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's something amazing that I've never really would have thought that I would have done in a million years. Honestly.
And Destiny, you're in college still. Is this real life? Is this what college is like?
I think, yeah, honestly, because it's 1:30 for me right now, never stops, but that's a good thing. Right.
And I thought nothing of calling her and saying, are you up? Are you ready to be working again? You find yourself, and she's not even in school right now, but she's in school mentality and productive is all get out. And so have you been, that's where I just think this whole virus thing has been so silver lining for the people who are not affected by it and who are following the rules and are isolating and distancing and staying healthy as best they can and all of that. Like we're being given a gift.
Yeah, I mean, like I always put I'm gonna say relationships, and compared to relationships, I've been in several relationships where like I've learned from my relationships, and I feel like Corona and this whole quarantine is one of the relationships. I've learned to understand and be like, okay, this is gonna be my new normal for a while, and to kind of, just be straight on with what I need to do. If I need to do my classes, I'm going to do them. There's no excuses. I mean, I'm here in my room doing nothing, and I decided to, I'm gonna do my homework because I have to, and I'm doing it fully. I'm not just half-assing it. I'm literally taking 40 to an hour to finish one assignment, and it's crazy. And I feel like this Corona pandemic is like a whole lesson to me.
Yeah. About yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know what? This was you.
Mm-hmm.
This has been who you were. You just didn't stop to hear that it was. And I'll bet when you were playing video games, that focus is the exact same focus mechanism that you're using.
Yeah.
You're just putting it over there.
Yeah, putting it online.
Yeah. And into art. So
exactly. I'm
doing that.
Considering art too. Like, I mean, photography is art, so I'm kind of into art right now a lot.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Destiny, do you want to say anything? No?
I think everything's been well said.
Yeah. Thank you for being in the audience. And how we close these is with the clapping out. Yes. Well done.
Hey, thanks for listening. We're really glad you tuned in. If you liked this, please subscribe, share, and also if you want to be a part of it, just send me an email, maura@offthewallgraffiti.org, or hit us up on any of the socials. And I want to do an extra special shout out to Luciano West, who created that amazing theme song. He came over to the house one day, dropped some beats. Avery McCarthy got on bass and I got on the spray cans, and we made that beat. I think it's awesome. I hope you like it. And yeah, listen up. Let's do more of these.